You've been making the same dua for months. Not out loud necessarily, maybe in the car on the way to work, maybe in the last sajda of Isha after everyone else has gone to sleep, maybe just in your chest, quietly, again and again, the same words to the same address. And tonight, on the eve of Jumu'ah, you made it again. You've been watching for signs, for something to move, for the answer to arrive in some form you'd recognize. And so far, nothing you can name. And here's the part you've never said out loud. The hardest thing isn't the waiting. The hardest thing is that you're not even sure you're allowed to feel the weight of it. Because this is dua. This is speaking to Allah. And who are you to feel like it isn't working? So you keep going, not because the answer has come, but because stopping is the one thing you're not willing to do. So let me tell you something the Prophet ﷺ said. He described a specific hour on the day of Jumu'ah every single week when Allah has promised to say yes. Not someday, not eventually, this hour, this Jumu'ah. And the reason you might have missed it, for months, for years, has nothing to do with whether Allah heard you. It has to do with where that hour actually is. And almost no one is standing inside it. 1400 years ago, the Prophet ﷺ sat with his companions and spoke about Friday, and he described something hidden inside it, the way you'd describe something precious that most people walk straight past without ever seeing. He said, there is an hour on Friday, and if a Muslim is standing in prayer, asking Allah for something good in that hour, Allah will surely give it to him. And he did not leave it abstract. He pointed with his hand to show how short, how narrow, how precise this window actually is. This was narrated in Sahih al-Bukhari and Sahih Muslim, two of the most rigorously verified collections in the history of this deen. Not a weak narration from an unknown source. A statement the Prophet ﷺ made, witnessed, transmitted, and verified across generations. This is a promise. A brief window on every single Friday, without exception. A promise so certain that the scholars of this ummah called it a guaranteed yes for any soul asking for good with a sincere heart before Allah. Not a maybe, not a we'll see, a yes that has been waiting every Friday for you to position yourself inside it. But that raises the one question a promise this certain can't avoid. If this hour is real, and it is, then why does it still feel like your dua isn't landing? The answer is not what you think, and it changes everything about the months you've already spent asking. The companions heard the same promise you just heard, and immediately they wanted to know, when exactly is this hour? The Prophet ﷺ did not give them a clock time, so the scholars studied it for centuries, and from the authentic narrations, two main positions emerged, both carried directly from the Prophet ﷺ and his companions. The first, Abu Musa al-Ashari narrated in Sahih Muslim that it is from the moment the Imam sits on the minbar until the Jumu'ah prayer is complete. Those specific minutes, from when the khutbah opens to when the congregation rises from the final tashahhud. The second, from Abdullah ibn Salam and others, that it is after Asr on Friday, those last golden minutes before Maghrib, when the day is almost spent, when the week is nearly over, and the door has not yet closed. Two windows, both from the Prophet ﷺ, both held by major scholars for 14 centuries. And scholars who reflected on this noticed something. They said Allah hid this exact hour the way he hid Laylatul Qadr inside the last 10 nights of Ramadan. Not to confuse you, not to make it impossible, but because of what the hiding does to your heart. If every Muslim knew the precise minute, the hour would become a transaction. Arrive at the exact moment, state the request, leave. A drive-through window to the Most High. So, instead, he hid it, so that the one who knows about this promise spends the whole of Friday reaching toward him. So the Salah becomes a conversation. So the space between Fajr and Maghrib becomes one long, unbroken turning of the heart. The not knowing is the invitation. It's the very thing that keeps you talking to him all day long. Now, the thing that actually hurts. Because the hour exists, the promise is real, and your dua still has not been answered in any way you can see. Not yet. And when that happens, Friday after Friday, asking sincerely, positioning yourself correctly, the mind starts building explanations. Maybe I'm not saying it right. Maybe something's wrong with my iman. Maybe Allah looked at what I've done and decided no. Those explanations feel humble. They feel like accountability. But most of the time, they're wrong. Because the Prophet ﷺ taught us something about the dua that seems unanswered. In a narration recorded in Musnad Ahmad, he said, "There is no Muslim who calls upon Allah as long as he isn't asking for something sinful or to cut off family, except that Allah gives him one of three things. Either he answers the dua directly, and you see it arrive in this life in a form you recognize, or he stores it for you in the next life, a weight quietly accumulating right now that you won't see until you arrive and discover what was kept for you. Or he takes that very dua and uses it now to turn away a harm you never saw coming, something that was heading towards you, redirected because you asked." The companions heard this and said, "Then we'll ask for more." And he said, "Allah has even more to give." Let that sit. The silence you've been living in, it was never rejection. It is either a deferral for a reason you don't have access to yet, or it is already in motion, building something you can't see from where you're standing. The dua you've been making for months has not been disappearing into empty space. It's been going somewhere, and the one receiving it has been doing something with it. You simply haven't been told about yet. You haven't been ignored. You've been heard. Completely. Every single time. And there's something about this Jumu'ah I don't want you to miss. Not any Jumu'ah. This one. Look at your calendar. The week turned, and you are living inside Muharram now, the first month of the Islamic year, a month Allah Himself set apart as sacred before He created the heavens and the earth. In Surah At-Tawbah, Allah says, "Indeed, the number of months ordained by Allah is 12, in Allah's record since the day He created the heavens and the earth, of which 4 are sacred. That is the right way. So do not wrong one another during these months." Muharram is the first of those 4, and scholars note from the Qur'an and the traditions of the Prophet ﷺ that deeds inside the sacred months carry a weight unlike any other point in the year. The door to Allah is always open, but inside Muharram, the door is wider. So that hour of acceptance on Friday, the one the Prophet ﷺ called a guaranteed yes for any soul asking for good, tonight, it doesn't sit inside an ordinary week. It sits inside a sacred sanctuary. And there's one more thing about this month. In just a few days, on the 10th of Muharram, the day of Ashura, the Prophet ﷺ fasted, not out of personal habit. When he arrived in Medina, he found the Jewish community fasting that day, and he asked why. They told him, This is the day Allah rescued Musa and his people from Pharaoh, from the sea, from slavery, from a man who had declared himself God. The Prophet ﷺ said, "We have more right to Musa than you do." And he fasted, and he asked his companions to fast. And he said he sought from Allah that the fast of Ashura would expiate the sins of the year before it. A Jumu'ah inside a sacred month, and the fast of rescue arriving in just a few days. This is not an ordinary Friday night. So here's what you do with what you just heard. 2 windows, both real, both narrated, both open to you. The first, the Jumu'ah window, from when the Imam sits on the minbar until the prayer ends. During the khutbah itself, you don't speak, not even to say Subhanallah aloud. That ruling is established. But your heart is not bound by it. In the brief silence between the 2 parts of the sermon, when the Imam sits, your heart can be moving. Not your lips, your heart. Because Allah hears what the heart says, before the lips have formed a single word. The second, the Asr to Maghrib window, after the afternoon prayer until the sun sets. This one belongs to you alone. No congregation, no audience. Turn your body toward the Qibla. Raise your hands to your chest, palms open, completely empty, and enter that space knowing, not hoping, not guessing, knowing what the Prophet ﷺ said about this hour. And then say the real dua, not the polished version you've rehearsed, the actual one, the one with your name on it, the one you've been making for months in the last sajda of Isha, when no one is watching. Say it here, in this window, in this sacred month. And this week, add one thing to whatever you're already asking for. Ask Allah to let you reach Ashura, just a few days from now, with a living heart, and to let you fast it. Because the Prophet ﷺ sought from Allah that this fast would expiate a full year of what came before. So here you are, the eve of Jumu'ah, the same words still sitting in your chest, but not the same silence. Because that dua was never falling into nothing. It was received. It's been building. It's been turning things away from you that you'll never see. It's been stored somewhere that doesn't expire. And tonight, it's being made inside a sacred month, with only a few days until the fast of the rescue of Musa. The door that is always open is wider than it has been all year. So the phone in your hand, it can be raised differently. Palms up, heart quiet. The real dua, the one you already know by heart. Save this for the next time the silence gets heavy. Share it with someone who has been asking Allah for something for a long time and is starting to wonder if he heard. Because he did. He always does. And there is an hour on every Friday when he has already promised to say yes to anyone still asking.